You're watching UATV News. My name is Ina Kosinska. Good evening. For the second day in a row, the national rate of COVID-19 infection shows 2 times drop compared to those who overcame the disease. Over the past days, 16,355 persons were tested negative in Ukraine amid the 7,986 new coronavirus cases. Most infected are the capital, Zaporizhia, Odessa, Kyiv and Dnipro regions. Ukrainian Health Minister Maxim Stepanov stated that Ukraine is at all levels fully prepared for the vaccination campaign against COVID-19.
Vaccination campaign will be launched directly in each region. One of our prime concerns is that the vaccination should be carried out across all regions and at decent speed. The immunization campaign won't provide any setback to the routine vaccination programs in Ukraine. They won't be suspended. Specialists should be engaged in the vaccination centers specifically for COVID-19.
Ukrainian hospitals received new artificial lung ventilators. 18 expert-class devices will help fight life-threatening complications of coronavirus infection. 2 ventilators will be handed over to the capital's doctors, 16 sent to regional COVID centers. The cost of modern equipment is €525,000 and it was acquired and transferred to Ukraine by the German Federal Foreign Office.
The device senses the patient's lungs, adjusting already to the needs and to the functional condition of the lung tissue, since we see total damage to the lungs in the overwhelming majority of patients with a severe course of COVID-19. We see it on X-ray, on a CT scan, and it is very difficult to choose a ventilation mode that is comfortable for the patient. And here is such an expert-class device evaluating the lung function in several breaths. It selects the most optimal ventilation modes for patients.
Wear the mask, do not close yourself. A model of a huge medical mask appeared on Kontraktova Square in Kyiv. There are questions that worry Ukrainians the most during the pandemic. The art installation was presented as part of the social campaign of the International Organization for Migration. In November, a psychological hotline was launched there. More than 100 Ukrainians come here every day. Most often they have the fear of contracting COVID. They're anxious for children, parents and the prospect of being left without job or money.
The people is wearing mask and also sometimes they're hiding their emotions as well, right? But we encourage them by this mask, the bigger mask, right? Wear the mask, but don't hide your emotions. As you need to speak out, as this pandemic is going to, that create a lot of anxiety and fear and also the uncertainty from the perspective of our emotional, intelligence, right? That's why we decided to launch that mask in this way.
Older people are in isolation now. They cannot communicate with relatives, cannot see grandchildren. These problems are presented on the mask. Some people are worried, a lot of Ukrainians are worried about their work, that they may lose it. We analyze the problems that people most often share while addressing the hotline. Iran is ready to pay $150,000 to the families of each passenger who died on the plane crash of a Ukrainian aircraft in the skies over Tehran. This was reported by the Iranian state news agency. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine considers it's premature to talk about any specific sums before the completion of the investigation and establishment of the causes of the tragedy.
The amount of compensation should be determined through negotiations. Negotiations on the amount of compensation will depend on various factors. This is the level of cooperation between the Iranian side and the establishment of the causes of the tragedy and the involvement of the perpetrators. This is a complex issue, therefore it is too early to talk about any amounts because we are not yet at the stage when we can actually talk about the amounts. The preconditions for this must be met. While determining the amount of compensation, the international practice of dealing with disasters of a kind will be taken into account.
For the first time over the years of independence, Ukraine has ordered 3 military transport aircrafts for the armed forces from the Antonov state enterprise. An-178 aircraft is more powerful, faster and more maneuverable than the outdated ones still used by the armed forces of Ukraine. The planes will be 100% Ukrainian. Ukrainian designers will construct the aircraft from domestically produced parts. Our colleagues will tell you more.
On the 7th of May 2015, the latest military cargo aircraft produced by Antonov plant, An-178, has made its first takeoff from the airfield in Hostomel near Kyiv. The test aircraft AN-178 was the first and the only one of a kind assembled by Antonov. Yet in 2015 the production stopped because some of the necessary parts were produced only in the Russian Federation. Because of its military aggression, Ukraine refused them. 5 years later, in 2020, the Defense Ministry has made its first order at Antonov since 1991. According to President Volodymyr Zelensky, the 3 aircraft ordered will be a 100% Ukrainian product. The Ministry of Defense will sign a memorandum on cooperation and a contract for the supply of 3 AN-178 aircrafts to the armed forces of Ukraine. They will be assembled by Ukrainian citizens from Ukrainian components for Ukrainian interests. In fact, this is how it should be. In addition, many international partners are showing significant interest in Antonov's aircrafts, in particular in military transport models. But at the same time, they always ask whether these planes are approved in Ukraine. That is why this step is extremely important. It strengthens Ukraine's defense capabilities and helps attract Ukrainian and foreign investments. According to the designers, the AN-178 should replace the outdated AN-26 aircrafts which are still used by the Ukrainian armed forces. The new planes are faster than their predecessors. This means that rescue operations, evacuation of the wounded, delivery of weapons and military personnel will be faster. In emergency situations, it can be used to evacuate the population from a natural disaster zone, transport the wounded, drop rescue teams. The new planes have a large, fully sealed cargo compartment, 2 jet engines instead of 4 turboprop ones, a unique fuselage shape and the ability to land and take off from any airfield. This is a dual-use aircraft. It can be used as a civilian one, as a cargo carrier, and as a military one, including the transportation and landing of the armed forces, military personnel of the armed forces. The aircraft is universal. Its peculiarity is that it easily operates at unprepared airfields. It's easy to maintain, it is reliable, compact, and is the next step in the evolution of previous aircraft models. The memorandum signed between the Ministry of Defense and the Antonov State Enterprise on the construction of 3 aircrafts for the armed forces is just the first step towards the modernization of the army. According to experts, the army needs at least 10 times more AN-178 planes. Reported by Nick Starkov, Andriy Orlov, Tetiana Soli, UATV News.
New Year's salad for soldiers. More than 6 tons of salad are being prepared for Ukrainian defenders for the new year. The volunteers prepare all the necessary ingredients. Several cars with festive salad and other holiday foods have already been sent to the east of Ukraine. Our correspondent has also joined the charity initiative. More than 6 tons of Ukrainian festive salad are being prepared for Ukrainian soldiers for the new year. The volunteers are preparing the traditional holiday salad for the 2nd day in a row.
There are 2 shifts per day, approximately 30 people in each shift. Because of the fact that we have a pandemic this year, we have 2 locations. Here you can prepare the first part, and restaurants of your friends are another location, so there are no crowds. Most of these people have been involved in preparing salad for Ukrainian soldiers for several years. They say this has already become a pleasant tradition.
It's for the 5th year that I have been making a New Year treat for guys in the front. Our mood is always cheerful. We are glad to see each other. We meet with pleasure every year. And we do it from morning till evening. It's not hard knowing that the guys at the front are defending the country. We're happy to help them, at least in this matter. In fact, it's for the 6th year that I have been using my muscles to make a treat. You put away all your debts and make the sacred holiday salad in order to pass a piece of warmth from your heart.
The cut ingredients are packed in plastic containers. Salad is not mixed with mayonnaise to keep it fresh. It will be done later. We'll get everything ready and the mix will go to the font. The work is done. Volunteers pack all the treats and are ready to send them to the front line to bring a feeling of home comfort to soldiers. Reported by Nick Starkov, UATV News.
Duck with apples and the traditional New Year Olivier salad. Ukrainians are actively selecting a menu for the New Year's table. The excitement is observed in markets and supermarkets. What do people choose and how much do they plan to spend on a holiday in Odessa? Our correspondents found out. This year we have decided to make a duck. It will be with apples, oranges and pears.
Tatiana Hati has already thought out the menu for the New Year's table and is now buying the necessary ingredients. New Year is her family's favorite holiday. The woman believes that it is possible to create a cozy and festive atmosphere without spending a high sum of money.
If to save costs like that, that will be $35. In general, in order to fill the New Year and stay for 2 days with the family, this makes at least from $90 to $110. My close friend said that they had already bought food for $180.
A few days before the New Year, this is a craze in the markets and in grocery stores. Prices have gone up and it takes more time to find what you need and save money. Despite the pandemic, residents of Odessa do not intend to give up the holiday. They just choose cheaper food.
Everything in small portions. I have a very small disability pension, so I can buy on the minimum. Prices are more expensive. Prices for citrus fruits have risen. My daughter-in-law lost her job and we have 4 small children. It is very difficult. Will I buy less? Of course. I have a duck. I don't know what I'm going to cook. I want to make a duck with oranges and then we'll see. New Year is once a year.
The sellers say the prices on the market. A kilo of chicken will cost $4, beef $6.50 and pork $3. To make a traditional Olivier salad, one needs to spend at least $7 per kilogram. The price for red caviar is from $6 to $30. Fruit dishes will not be cheaper this year either. Oranges in markets start from $1.6 till $2 per kilogram. Tangerines $1.6 per kilogram. Bananas $1.10. Pomegranates $2 per kilogram. Kiwi $1.7. The average bill for food for the New Year's, excluding alcohol, will cost about $36. Merchants say this year there are significantly fewer buyers comparing with the New Year's rush last winter. But still there are people.
You can come tomorrow. Will quarantine affect buyers? No, people always want to eat.
People are expected to complete their New Year shopping on December 31. Sellers already know that Odessa residents are used to delay buying food until the very last moment. Reported by Nick Starkov, Anna Gorodyantseva, UATV News.
A little more than a day is left before the New Year, but the Times Square in New York is already in colorful confetti. They were poured from the balconies of buildings. This is a rehearsal for the New Year celebration and an attempt to cheer people up during the pandemic. Usually during the New Year celebrations, about 1 million people gather in the center of New York, but tomorrow the holiday will be more modest.
What do you think, guys? Woo! We're setting this effect. What we're going to do is I encourage everyone to line up physically distance for Planet Fitness.
That's all for this hour. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Stay safe and good night.